So let's just go down the line and everybody tell us your name and what film you were a part of and what your role was.
My name is Aleksandra Svetlichnaya, and I wrote, produced, directed, and acted in Hors D'Oeuvre.
I edited it.
So Hors D'Oeuvre, which was the last film that we saw tonight.
Yes.
This is not your first time at Philly Film Showcase.
No, I think this is what, our fourth?
Something like that. But obviously the first film that you've made on 16mm film, which I'm sure was an adventure in and of itself. So sort of why did you decide to embark on that, and what was the process like, and how did it sort of differ from what you pictured?
Yeah, so people always ask what made me want to do it, and I think they expect there's going to be like this deep reason, you know, and our DP was basically just like, hey, I have a fridge full of film, do you want it? I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Didn't expect what it was going to be like actually shooting on it, obviously, because you know, how many of us really have shot on film? Probably not many, if any at all, right? So shooting on it is interesting. Obviously, you don't have playback, for one thing, for any filmmakers, right? You can't look back at what you're doing at all. Then we were shooting on vintage cameras, which were breaking every single day. So you don't expect that to happen either, but that's film life, right? Like things always happen that you don't expect to, regardless of you know, whether it's film or digital. But there were definitely a lot of just technical issues like that you don't really foresee, and then you have to make it work, obviously.
So obviously you sort of embarked on this thinking like, well, we've got this vintage film,
Yeah.
we're going to use these vintage cameras. How did it sort of differ from what you'd envisioned initially, like the experience of actually working on it?
I don't know if I really had expectations of what it was going to be like, other than I thought it was going to be interesting, and it was. It was the whole experience. I mean, I probably won't shoot on film again. Let's just be honest. But you don't really realize what it used to go into filmmaking until you try it. So from that point of view, I think it is very educational and very necessary to kind of appreciate where we are now with digital. It makes it so much easier. We can make films on our phones if we want to, as opposed to all this technology that you used to need. I mean, even once we had the film, what do you do with it? Well, it has to go to a lab, it has to get developed, and it has to get scanned digitally so that Haley could edit it. And then, surprise, some of the film didn't come out. Uh-oh, what do we do now? So there's definitely a lot of obstacles that you kind of have to go through when you are shooting on film, but I mean, I'm very happy with what we ended up with, so it was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, for both of you too, like how did working with film, which is I think a medium that you probably both were new to, sort of change the way that you're going to continue with your practice going forward? And either Aleksandra or Haley could answer.
Haley, thoughts?
I'm primarily an animator, so I don't know.
And an alum of Philly Film Showcase.
Yeah. Editing-wise, it definitely, like, I would want to be more involved with the pre-production process, which we've talked about, because you want to know what shots you're not getting that you might need. Like, we were discussing a lot of special effects, and there were things that I, like, physically, like the monster, there was an idea where he's moving like this, but I had no way to like rotoscope that without a blank slate, which were things like we could have discussed like during like the script writing. So that would be, especially with film, like we couldn't go back and see, so that was hard. And then just like restoring the film, I would definitely want to get better at that, because it was getting kind of grainy and there was a lot of footage lost.
Well, there was a lot of footage lost before Haley even got it. The lab just couldn't get a good, I don't even know, 25% of the film. I mean, a good portion, it was either too dark or it was too light. And again, that's things you can't see while you're filming because you don't have playback because it's on film. So there was definitely a lot of kind of creative ways we had to get in there and try and make things work. We actually ended up going back and doing some pickups, which none of them came out either, surprise. So we had to get very, very creative with some of the way we pieced the story together, otherwise it just wouldn't have worked whatsoever. So, yeah.
how they did it back in the day. So
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
if, they made it work. What
Yeah.
excuses do we have not to make it work now?
right, yeah, thank God for technology.